thought you were gonna grab my butt. And he goes, I wasn't gonna grab your butt. I was like, hey dude, like I'm not like I've known you for a few years, you comb your hair a certain way, I'm not like hating on it, but and because he goes, I wasn't gonna do that. So it became a joke with us. That happened in 2016, so it's been what, 6 years?
And has he grabbed it since?
Every time I see him at a show, he's walking, hey, what's up, Leo? Hey, I should have named him. Hey, Leo, what's up? I was like, hey, you grabbed my butt, did you? And he's like, I wasn't trying to do that. So I don't like people like behind me. I love people from no one behind me at all. But like at the dance party, we had people just way back there, and they're liking the music, and I'm like, no, you need to stand here. But then we did here. They tried to get on the stage. I'm like, no, not here, like here. I want you there, here, not here. I want you good enough to where I can see you, not where I can smell you.
Dave did ask him to come up on stage.
So my DJ made a crucial error yesterday. He goes, guys, I want you up here. And when he did that, I was back there in karaoke, and I ran up here because I saw the Jumanji that was going on. And they all came up here, like behind him, they're jumping. He was down on the board, and he looks up. And I was like, dude, I said, oh, guys, we gotta get off. We want you tripping. And I said, you should have said, I want you here. I said, here is this. Here is this. And he goes, I did do that. You did not do that. You did not do that because I saw you. But again, part of that is, we make mistakes. I made a lot of errors this weekend. Hopefully, I swept over them. But part of the reason for this panel, so what? Yeah, exactly. So the reason for this panel is building the team locally. Now, for those of you that don't know, my name is Javier. I'm the chairman of this event. I'm also the chairman of other events. I do them around the country. Hopefully soon around the world. But so year one, when I took over, I brought in like an all-star team. So it was owned by some people that weren't very good, not just good at their job. They're actually not very good people in general. So I was at Anime Expo. It created a big stir online. And I went to the person, one of the people that owned it. I'm like, hey man, what's up with your show? He goes, I don't know what's up with your show. And they showed me like what was going on Facebook and Instagram. And he goes, oh, and he like freaked out. So I said, well, let me know if you need my help. And it started off as you need my help. Then it was, I need your help. Then it was like, nobody knows how to do anything. So I said, well, I'm not going to do this unless I get some skin in the game or send it for me, unless you pay me a big check, which I know you don't got that. So I got equity in the event, and ever since then, I've purchased more and more. I'm the majority shareholder, and soon to be the complete owner. But I brought in my all-star team. It was 12 directors from other events, ACON, MechaCon, IkiCon, what was the other show? There was one that I'm forgetting, and I always forget it, and I feel bad. My buddy that does Anime NYC. So we had 12 convention directors. This convention did registration. This convention did events. It was wonderful. And but the locals, while they enjoyed it, they're like, "Oh, we need some of our own people to really help." And I was like, "Okay, well, are you gonna do it?" "Well, I don't want to do it. I want someone else to do it." And I'm like, "Okay." Oh, let me tell you about the meeting I had when I came. There were some guys that were very aggressive. So when I don't ever do this, I stay behind the scenes. Christian would say, I like my privacy. This was the first event that I did where I announced myself. And man, I had all kinds of garbage. I had people like, I need to see your LLC. I said, tell you what, I'll show you my LLC when you give me your social security number. We'll do that, and we'll call it even. So then one guy goes, hey, I'm gonna come to this. This was a Sheraton. It's being transformed into a Delta. The hotel is way nicer. You remember how bad this hotel was. All the voice actors knew that this was the hotel where you sit on the toilet and your knees touch the door. And they all knew it.
And the door's see-through too.
And the door is see-through.
Oh my God.
So if someone walks in your room, it better be someone that changed your diapers in your life. So we took over it. It was an ugly hotel, but I ended up, I was like, well, I'm gonna meet the public, which again, that's something I don't do. Because my buddy, he goes, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna have to be like visible. I was like, man, I don't like that, dude. Because you're gonna have to be. Now, I had just done ACON's raid. ACON is the fifth largest anime convention, 34,000 people. And then 4 days later, I was in LA doing Anime Expo. They put them together, which they never do. Akon had the trip to do it late. Anime Expo was always the first weekend of July, 4th of July weekend, and then Akon's always the first weekend in June, but they didn't move it back because of some issues. So within a 12-day span, I did two of the largest anime conventions in the world. Out of combined 160,000 people. I shouldn't say that because it's illegal in some places. I was the dance party director at Akon, and then I was the one of the industry people at Anime Expo. So I thought I was going to roll in here and take all these country people's money and do a great job. I was sorely mistaken. Like, we need to give them a piece of our mind. I was like, I wish you would, dude. Hey, the meeting's at 6 o'clock at the Sheraton. You and I can meet after or before. So then it was 4 women that showed up and 1 man, and then I said, so clearly the women in this county have more sports equipment than the men. I mean, I was pretty angry. I was pretty angry. But I fell in love with this area. I think the people here are great, but there was a convention before that had stole everybody's money. 2,000 people pre-reg. They shut it down. It's actually changed the way Eventbrite and StubHub do their ticketing now. They don't pay the show promoter until after the event because this person got all the money. They were what's called grandfathered in. When you're grandfathered in, you get to apply by the old rules, right? So they applied by the old rules. They took the money, shut it down, disappeared. Nobody ever saw it. Then the hotel got stuck with the bill, so it was hard to convince the hotel and the community that we were trying to do something honest. So year 1 was a good success. We did about 842 people. I know we did 842 people because we had 42 people pre-registered 2 weeks to go. So we were going to lose everything. And I was like, okay, so we grew at 2,000% in 2 weeks. Year 2, something called the pandemic happened. So we had to downscale it a lot. So I only brought in like half my team. Well, in that year I fired that half, and now I'm a different half. And we used a lot of locals this year. So this was actually the hardest year. Harder than year 1 and year 2, because I had to challenge myself to use locals. And it was difficult because they're not used to it. They're just not used to like interacting with guests. There's a certain way you have to carry yourself. There's a certain way you have to carry yourself with the industry people. We have some Japanese guests that want to come. The reason they want to come is because I bailed them out. So I don't like working with one of the shows I mentioned, Akon. I don't like working with them. So I bailed out the Japanese guests there. I helped them. Well, actually, I helped the guy's wife. She needed help. So she was like, if you ever want Japanese guests for your function, let me know. Booked. So we have a lot of things down the pipeline. I got an email yesterday morning for one of the biggest guests in the entire anime convention industry. He's actually one of the biggest in the convention industry, period. He wants to come out next year. And I said, well, we're going to have to hold up because I have to make sure that the show. So did we see the lines for the guests? I mean, they were pretty good. The guests all did super well. They did super well. They were like, I walked into my hotel because remember, they're from LA, so they're 2 hours behind us. It was 2 in the morning. And like, there's the man of the hour. And no, 2 no, it was 1 in the morning. So, we hung out and they said it was great. You need to book this guest. I'll tell them. So the guests here not only had a great time, but they're wanting to be helpful in helping booking the preacher. So as wonderful and as great as they are, I got an email from somebody that his line would literally be out that elevator. From there down through that, it would be huge. So the community is building, but with that being said, as the height and the prestige build, the support has to grow. I mean, I got in trouble this weekend by everybody. They're like, your problem is you can do everything. So when you say, can you do it? And someone says, yes, I expect them to do it as well as I can. And when you can't, I get very, very upset. So that's my problem. I have to work on that. We all have things we have to work on. But I have to do a better job of clearly stating what I need the team. Your question? No. Okay. Yeah, this is just one. I need to solve it now. It's one of those where I have to do a better job of explaining to the community this is what needs to be done. This is how it needs to be done. If you make a mistake, tell me that, hey, I might not know. Apparently I come off very intimidating. I didn't think a 5'6" Mexican person who weighs 122 pounds would be intimidating, but apparently I am. One of my friends said, I grew up with a family of yellers. And so I learned, like, I used to yell a lot, but I was the smallest one. So what I learned to do is I learned how to, like, yell without yelling. And a buddy of mine, he had done something to me. He runs conventions, and he didn't do something very important. I said, yeah, because this is our first convention, right? 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 Like, you've never done this before, right? 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 And he goes, hey, can I tell you something? I feel like you're, like, yelling at me. I said, I'm not yelling at you. I'm talking to you. I literally did not raise my voice. And he goes, yeah, but you know how to yell at people without yelling at them. It's almost worse. So I kind of did that a few times this weekend, where people made mistakes. And see, I'm one, if you make a mistake, just say you made a mistake and move on. Don't go, I didn't make the mistake, because if you tell me I made the mistake, I'm going to have to be like, okay, and I guess Tom Brady is the one that lost the Super Bowls for the Patriots, right? It wasn't everybody else. Since I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been doing this since I was 14. Okay?
Wow.
14 years, I'm 34 now. So this is my 20th year, like literally. I've checked badges at doors. I've done pretty much every position. Now, the only thing was lacking was web design and ticketing, and how I'm doing that. I had to teach myself all these things. So with me, I don't ever believe in excuses. I just don't, and that is a problem with me because there are excuses. I have a funeral I'm planning with my aunt and doing this, so I had to draw money this and I had to buy the speaker and do this and so. But sometimes have to step back and realize not everybody can do that. And so the purpose of this panel is for people to ask questions like, what would you like? And then hopefully I don't come off intimidating. Well, this is what we need. Because this community needs it. You don't have to do it, but it needs it if it wants the convention to prosper. I wouldn't say grow, because I can grow anything. But growth isn't always great. I've been offered by several companies, like, we want to inject this into this market. Sometimes it works. When it's a bigger city, it works. But, getting all these guests, some people would book 20 guests for this show. That'd be ridiculous. The guests wouldn't make their money because there's too much competition. The fans wouldn't be able to enjoy the show because they're like, well, there's 6 guests I want to meet, but I can only afford to meet this one. So I try to keep my guests list low so you have a fair chance of getting one, at least saying hi and talking to all. Okay, so there's a reason why we do this. So, does anybody have any questions about this year, the past years, or the future? What's up, man?
So I guess it's interesting you bring up web design because I guess 2 of us sort of came together and we were looking at a couple weeks ago and there was no schedule. I'm wondering, you said you taught yourself to do that. I guess there was a Google Doc that was posted, I think, Thursday.
So
and we were sort of sitting there saying, we're looking for a schedule, and I guess
normally I take the schedule, put it on Photoshop or Illustrator, and make it look nice. Usually what I do is I do individual graphics of the timestamps, and then I put it on different parts of the website. So here's Fridays in this panel, here's Fridays in this panel. So I didn't have time to do that because my aunt died last Saturday, unfortunately. She was my sister to me. I saw her on my birthday. That's not an excuse. I don't make excuses, but that is something so my mom, she was in a car accident a month and a half ago. She was hit when I was here, she was hit by a drunk driver. So I couldn't finish my work here. All my work went unfinished. So I had to rush back to Houston and then deal with the sheriffs because it was a fatality and it was a criminal case. So then I came back here to try to finish my work. But then I also have other shows that I do. So it created this compounding effect. And again, it's on me. I don't delegate enough. That's kind of also the purpose for this panel is, I need to delegate more. But in a rebuttal to that, and I don't mean this directly at you, but every graphic designer and every artist says they're the best in the world and give them a chance, and then they don't do it. I'm not saying you're going to do that, but every artist thinks I can do better than you. I'm like, here you go, and then they don't do the work.
Right.
So the best ability in the world is availability. Okay, you could be the best in the world, but you don't have any availability, so you're worth peanuts. All right, actually, you're not worth peanuts because I like peanuts. You're worth, sand. There you go. I'm good on sand. Actually, sand's pretty good too. You're worth an oil stain on the concrete. There you go.
On a duck's feather.
You said what?
On a duck's feather.
Yeah, there you go. You're like if I wanted to write on a sheet of paper, but the paper was made of cloth.
It was wet.
Yeah. And it's from like an old lady sandal. I don't know. So how old ladies? So my thing is, we need more locals to help with things. And then I watch this, but here's the best part. I haven't gotten the ability to do what I do best, which is media and present, doing commercials, doing this. The part of the dance party, we this is a fraction of what we've done. We've done concert halls. And hopefully, I think the stage looks good here. The only alternative is to do it up there, but then I'd have to do the vendor room in there, and the vendor room looks like trash in there. It looks like your mom's basement, and then like there's just stuff in there. It doesn't look like a vendor room. Now it actually looks like a vendor room. But what's it called? Was it opportunity costs, right? So the opportunity for this costs main event. So I like main events here. There's some things we got to fix. Plus, there's actually more space here than there is up there. I mean, I can do the whole thing up there, but then we'll have no panels. We'll have nothing. It'll just be one vendor room, the giant main events, and nothing. So we're working with the venue. The venue actually does not have accurate floor plan layouts. This was supposed to be in there. This got moved Friday morning because there they said they had 8,000 square feet, and it's more like 800 square feet. Up there, they said the room dividers were, so you see these room dividers right here? They're supposedly all the same size. They said that these were 5 feet wide. They're not. These are like 9.5 feet wide. So when I got here, it was all just like, and I've been here, I've done shows here before. But remember, I have other venues I work with. So I don't remember the exact floor plan layouts of all of them. I'm just like, okay, this is what they sent me. This is what we do. Also, the hotel has new people. And I have to show them how to do their jobs. So another thing was when I'm supposed to be designing the graphics for the schedule, I get a call from our ticketing guy. He goes, "Hey man, people aren't able to. They're not getting their confirmation codes. People are not getting accurate emails because they're thinking we're going to spam them. It's like, no, this is where your hotel confirmation goes. So now we got to go track that down because we can't send another one because that's how fraud happens. Because then they ask for a refund and they get the money and then they try to go get the hotel. Okay, I had a guy try to he booked a vendor room. It was in processing, which means there was a hold on his card. It didn't go through. Then what it did while it was processing, he was going to ask for a refund and show me his confirmation, say I got a booth. When he got here, we caught him. I'm like, no, you canceled it. Here, no, I didn't. I said, no, here's your cancellation. You physically canceled it. So, and I said, and I didn't want to call. I was trying not to do it because I had other shit to say. So he was trying to do was, I bought this apple. Here's this fake apple that I bought from you. So you bought the real thing. So that's my job a lot is doing the finances, detecting fraud, dealing with guests, as well as doing media. Those are the 4 things that I like doing, but mostly media. So that, again, that's where all the other people have to come in. Now, I can bring in a team of people, but it's going to be up to what they do in their certain community versus what we do here locally. So locally, you have to come and say, hey, this is what I do. Here's some examples of my work, or these are the shows I work with. I'll say, tell you what, I'll give you a dummy page. And I don't mean that like literally, but I have several conventions that I haven't started yet. So I'll give you one of those, show me what you would make the graphics looks like on that. Okay, well, here's actually something. Now I can trust you to do animate from home. Trust, it's hard, man, when you trust people. Some of the locals here, like Terry, I trust him to tell him, hey, man, I got this guest on the line. They want to do it. What do you think? I can't tell all of you who I think I can get because somebody's like, hey, they're going to get so-and-so. And then their agent's going to find out. They're going to come at me, and it's going to affect my other shows, and it's going to affect the community. So it's a lot of risk-reward scenarios. So that's something that kind of the locals don't always understand. And that's something that like when we do meetups, we announce meetups. You don't have to always go to them, but we have meetups even here, even when I'm not here. It's just going out to eat, hanging out here at the hotel. The hotel's very gracious. They let us have meetups here to where we can talk about things. So even if you're not going to be staff, even if you're not going to be a volunteer, you should still go to the meetups and say, hey, as an attendee, this is what I would like, or this is what I see. Now, be reasonable. Don't be like, I don't want to name drop, I almost did. I want this guest, this guest, this guest. And you know when I tell people, like, man, that's cool. Well, guess what? Their per diem is this, their flight is this is their guarantee. Do you want to do cash card? What do you want to do? Well, I was hoping you do it. I'm like, yeah, exactly. So I'm used to the whole, I hope you'll do it. And I got to kind of stop doing that myself. You know, it's like so it's just building familiarity. Terry was actually the first person to ever pre-register for the show back when it was ran by Garbage People. Now he's one of our staff members. He's the people person. So he came in year one to pre-reg. We didn't have it set up yet. He was like, hey, can I volunteer? He volunteered. Then we found out he was useful, so we made him staff, and the rest is history. Now, is he perfect? No. Does he make mistakes? Yes. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. But he's at least willing to take the risk because he loves this community. Right? So if you love your community, which I hope everybody does, at least try to make time to be respectful in voicing your opinion. I told him after year 3, I've already proven that I can do it, so I'm going to be a little bit more of a troll on him. I actually want to do a panel where we screenshot all the people that complain, and I wanted to get the voice actors to like mock them. And they all agreed to it. But then I'd be bullying them, and I like bullying bullies, which then makes me a bully, but it also makes me a hero, but I'm still a bully, so I can't do it. So I wanted to do it. They all said they do it. Like, I've never heard of that. Oh, I love it. We were like, my name's Sunset, and you don't book time schedules as this, and I would be there. And they were all wanting to do it. But someone said, what if that person's in the audience and goes home and does something bad to themselves? And I never thought of that. And I was like, oh, well, I can't do that. So it's a learning process. We're all trying to grow as people. I'm still kind of geek in many ways and immature, but in other ways I have to be more mature and be professional. You know, I'm primary caretaker of both my grandparents, and they just lost their daughter, which is bad, and almost lost my mom. So I have all of these. So when I come to a convention, I'm super focused. This is how I take care of my family. And I'm super just like, oh, you're not going to stop me. And Terry will tell you, man, if you get in my way, I'm going to run you over. And this little 5'6", 122-pound Mexican dude is going to run you over, and I'm going to stomp you in the ground and go over you, and I'm going to keep going. So I have to relax a little bit on that. And even if you so we want to do like meetups at like a roller skating rink. Terry wants to show people his moves, and I don't know what that means. I'm kind of nervous, scared. He's like, you know, but bowling.
You're just jealous.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, you're just jealous, and he's like skating away. He's like, could you at least wear some pants that fit? Go bowling, do photo shoots at the park, do photo shoots here. It's a beauty. We have not had an opportunity to use the outside yet. I want to put screens everywhere and show anime at night, where maybe some of the parents like a little minute like drive. You know, little things, but it takes people power. Okay? And while I have a lot of great ideas, there's a lot of people in this audience and in this community that have a lot of great ideas. You have to be willing to make the time to at least try. Even if you're an attendee, if you're an attendee and you want to buy bags, that's cool. But if you say, hey man, I have a friend that has this. Okay, so like pipe and drape here is a pain. So there is a company here that has a monopoly on pipe and drape and AV equipment. That's the reason I bought this equipment. Because it was literally triple the price to just own it. And I'm like, well, why would I give you that when I just buy it? The pipe and drape company, I got to go talk to them because if they want to sell their company, please sell it to me. Because they charged me a certain price, and then the local bigwig wanted to charge me $100 per 10-foot unit extra per day. So this place is a little lacking in certain resources that I have to bring in myself. Okay, I have to bring in the gaming, I have to bring in what was the other thing I got to bring in? There's something that I'm missing. I guess the monitors, right? Yeah, there's a shortage on that. Monitors, I bring my own. So just local participation, even because some people just want to attend the show, and that's great. But like, hey man, I had this idea, you should try it. And dude, if I use one of your ideas and it's a hit, dude, I'll give you free passes for life. I'll declare that right there. If you say something, I'll give you free passes for life if I use it. Okay, I'm not just gonna do it because you say, hey man, you should get a dog and a chicken and combine them. I'm like, well, that's not a great idea. I think you're kind of sick. You need to go get some help. So Sundays are usually the days where I get to relax, which is why when I have this panel, Friday I did my trash talking panel, which is pretty funny. I just literally trash talked about little instances where I've gotten in trouble doing conventions. Yesterday we did what our plans are immediately for like how this convention went. And then this panel is how we want to do things in the future. So I wanted to definitely separate those two. because there's a lot we had to talk about how this event went. I also had to hype up the crowd to get them to go, spend the money. There was a lot of reputation. This was a cheap market. There were a lot of guests that did not want to. There's 2 guests that I booked year 1 that were booked to do this hotel at that show I said that canceled. And I made it a point to bring them in and prove to them. And actually, one of them is mad that I've not rebooked him. And he did another show in the state, which I was not very happy about. But he was so excited because he loved being here. Every guest that we've had so far has loved being here. These 5 are the biggest ones that we've had to date individually and collectively. These are bigger roles. They all had a great time, and actually 2 of them kept me up saying, "You need to book this person. They would be great for this market." So we've got the wheels turning now. Now it's a question of who's going to get on the bus, okay? And this bus doesn't stop because I'm the one driving it. I don't like to use the brake pedal, so I'd be like, "Javi, you got to stop! I'm not barely the steering wheel. So we're going to keep going." So
I can see or I can brake. I can't do both.
exactly. I'm basically Keanu Reeves. You guys are the bus and speed. There's no brakes. There might be a bomb attached to the bottom of this bus. So I'm going to yell my way through this, okay? So I wish I had a Sandra Bullock here. Look, there's Sandra Bullock
The convention
right now.
is your Sandra Bullock.
Exactly, right? So she's both the bus and my Sandra Bullock. Is that what it is? So okay.
That's what's getting everything rolling, but it's also what's keeping you there.
Yeah, he only stayed because Sandra Bullock was there. He did not stay with him. Man, I'm out of here. So it's, by the way, Christian, what's the time on this? I don't know.
128.
We're at 26 minutes.
Yeah, cue me. Like, cue me professionally. I'm not saying you wrong. Some people cue me and they just make a scene. I'm like, you're just making a scene. Now I got to address it. Oh, he's cueing me. So it's, because I can get carried away and just talk about anything. So yeah, does anybody have any other questions, ideas, anything? Don't be afraid. What's up?
I've only started doing my stuff since June. Actually, the day I met you was the first day I was doing stuff.
So I changed your life. Thank you.
A little bit, yes, actually. Do you have any advice for those of us who are still trying to...
Just keep doing it. Make mistakes. Just make mistakes. I made mistakes. I made mistakes this year. I made mistakes that I knew I was going to... I made mistakes that I shouldn't make, and I made mistakes I knew I was going to do, and I still did them. And I didn't do them like I was on purpose, but my job is to personally, I do 2 things. I set the tone, and then I hedge the bets. Does anybody know what the word hedging your bet means? Everybody? Okay, so I hedge my bet, which means I have to protect against possible risks. So set the tone, protect against possible risks. Once I can hand more allocated responsibilities to people, that's great. Part of responsibility is accountability. Okay, they go hand in hand. I can't trust you to do something to be responsible, and I hold you accountable, and you shut down emotionally. And maybe I can be a jerk. I know I can, so I got to work on that. But I have to hold you accountable. But you also have to be willing to be taught. Okay, I was a coach for USA Gymnastics for 10 years. 2 of my boys are at the Air Force Academy right now, and one of them, he's a freshman. He's already everybody competes, but they only count the upperclassmen scores because they're better. His scores are the only freshmen that are counting on their score sheet. They're preparing him to be a team captain for sure by his senior year, more than likely junior year, but there's a chance he could do it by sophomore year. So I'm used to, hey man, this is how we do it. Because if you don't listen to me in gymnastics, what happens? You get hurt. You literally get hurt. And that's what this community is. I'm not saying this because I know everything. I'm saying this because I've seen people burn markets to the ground. I'm from Houston. I refuse to do a show in Houston until they get their act together. I was going to say something other than act and say it starts with the word S. Because they ask me all the time, when are you going to do it here? And I'm like, when you stop giving those crooks your money, that's when. Because if you keep giving them their money, you're fueling my competitors. Why would I do that? Does that make sense? That makes sense, right? It's basic money logic. You want me to do it, but you don't want to trust me to... You're not going to pay me, but you're going to pay them. What's up?
Talking about like Mansur?
Yeah. Oh, you're from Houston? I was really on that game. Oh, you should have drove us my stuff up here.
I go to school in North Texas, so this was...
You got a truck?
Nah, car.
Okay.
Yeah,
If I rent a truck, do you know how to drive?
yeah, more or less.
Okay, that's a no. All right, continue. But okay, so yeah. So you have Delta H?
Yeah.
That was the first anime convention I volunteered at. I still go to it every year. Yeah. The owner, she's cool. I check badges at that door now. Like I do a bunch of shows Like, what are you doing here at Delta H? I'm like, no, it reminds me. I was right there checking doors. And it's a humbling experience for me. Just like this market, like I said, I did Anime Expo and Acon back to back. I was like, I am the next big thing. I'm the current big thing. And this market's like, well, we don't even got TV here, so we don't know who you are. I'm like, oh man, dude. Okay, I'm in the 80s and this is Footloose. You know, I feel like Kevin Bacon and Footloose, actually. I feel like Keanu Reeves, so during the convention, I feel like Keanu Reeves and Speed, before the convention ever happened, I felt like Kevin Bacon and Footloose. I'm just trying to shake my stuff and get some attention. You know, like, we don't do that here. And I'm like, okay, you're the dad from Footloose, I get it. So, Footloose is a great movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it, it's great. So is Speed. Now, Speed's not that great, it's just kind of corny and funny to talk about. But yeah, no, like that show, and I always, the community, every time I talk to them, you know, I wanted 2 cosplayers from that community that have been wanting to work with me for a while. I said, come up to Anime Oklahoma, be my cosplay guest. 2 weeks before the show, we agreed that they were going to drive, I was going to do this, and then they went to flight, and then they went to this, and then this, and then this. I said, no, we're good. We're good. And they're like, what? I'm like, I mean, you're just trying to see what you can get out of me, you know? What am I going to get out of you? So,
That's dishonest.
yeah, I would even go a little bit further. It's maybe hard. It's a little nefarious. It's a little nefarious. Like they knew they wanted it. They should have just asked up front. If they would have asked up front, I could have actually made time for it, made room in the budget possible. But it was just like, I'm going to see what I can get. I'm going to see what I can get. And I would do this for free if I could. I think people should have that mentality. And then if you get paid, you get paid. If you don't, you don't. I have never screwed anybody over. I shouldn't be saying that as a kid. I never screwed anybody over. I wouldn't be able to get this level of guests if I had to. Because word travels fast. Okay? And not only does word travel fast, but people are wanting to book my other events. So because I booked these guys at my other events, they were willing to come down to me Oklahoma. Okay? Rico Fajardo and Chuck Huber, which were 2 phenomenal guests that we had. I mean, they're all phenomenal, but I worked with them before, so I'm a little bit more sentimental. The other ones was my first time. Chuck did a show I did 2 weeks ago, and so did Rico. They killed it there. They just did really, really well. And they're like, hey, so on Saturday's your big day, you're making money. And so all the voice actors kind of talking, and I was like, hey, Chuck, hey, Rico, how's it going? And he goes, man, I'm doing fantastic, man, I'm doing well. And that's my Rico Fajardo person. Pretty great. And Chuck's like, hey, Javier, he did great. Man, I'll see, Oklahoma's going to be great too. I was like, yeah. So now the other ones went to Oklahoma. There were 12 voice actors there. And there was Oklahoma. So Sunday, hey, Javier, can you come up with like, I'd like to, maybe Oklahoma. Well, that's in 2 weeks, maybe next year. So then it's like, that's how it worked. And I brought people from Oklahoma to my Texas show. Okay? So I like to bring in people that I like working with. But at the same time, it's not super hard, but it's also not super easy. It's simple, this is what we need to do, but it's not easy. There is a difference between being simple and being easy. You know, a marriage will work if you both love each other and don't cheat on each other. Well, that's simple, but it's not easy apparently because 56% of the things end in divorce. So there's a difference between being simple and being easy. So it is simple, but it's not easy. So the simple thing with this show is I can only do what you guys allow me to do. I can take all my content to a party, but okay, I got to do this. You get what I'm saying? So I'm at least responsible enough and accountable enough to know when I got to make time for business. And then so I get back, and the DJ was like, sir, he had finished his set, and then the other person was like, sir, you missed it. I was like, I get it. I didn't need to. I got caught up. But that's the sacrifice that we have to make for things to go well. Okay, and I'm willing to make them, and I guess I'll ask you guys, you have to be willing to make them too. As an attendee, as a volunteer, staff member, as an individual entity here, you all have your own perspectives, okay? Just like people's like, why do you wear the suit jacket? You know why I wear the suit jacket? Okay, I'll show you why I wear the suit jacket. You're about to get kicked out. I wear the suit jacket because I look like I'm like 16. If it wasn't for this, I would look like I'm 16. Okay, I keep this on purpose because it makes me look older. I look a lot younger. I walk in to pick somebody up from high school and it's cold. I'll put it back on. I'm too skinny for this.
Until you get cold.
anything under, hold on, I gotta do this deal, I'm gonna make money for it.
Don't be jealous of the hair.
Exactly. One guy goes, Johnny Depp. And I'm like, I was like, look, Johnny goes, oh, he's talking to me. I was like, oh, thanks, I appreciate it. So anything under like 76 degrees, I'm freezing. No body fat. But so yeah, I have to portray myself a certain way and act a certain way to get respect. And you do too. And even if you're cosplaying, you conduct yourself a certain way. And you have to hold us accountable too. There was a guy in here who was acting kind of creepy. So we would want you, especially as a female attendee, to voice your concerns and feel confident that your voice will be heard, which is what happened yesterday. There was a group of young ladies that, hey, there's a guy doing this. We try to take action immediately as soon as we can. We went and found him in the parking lot. He is not mature enough to care for himself, we'll say that. We had him call his mother. His mother picked him up. And she kind of picked him up on the far end, so we couldn't talk to her. But we have to hold each other accountable, right? But also not be like Chicken Little, like the house is falling down. Like, no, state what you're claiming eloquently and maturely. Okay, don't come to me with like problems, because I'm gonna give you all my problems. Okay, this happened. You know, I gotta take my grandpa to the doctor Monday, and I gotta take my grandma to the doctor Wednesday. You want to keep going? Because I think I got you beat here. You know, so it's like state what you're gonna state and understand that we're gonna do our best. But even if we can't fully get it done, we are trying. And if you make a mistake, I won't punish mistakes. I punish rebelliousness. Okay, that's what I'll punish. So if I ask you to do something you don't know how to do it, whatever. But if I ask you to do something, you say you did it, and then you completely don't do it, you're gonna hear something from me. Okay. So, and as the community, you should hold me to that standard also. Like, hey, Javier, you say you're going to do this, and you didn't do it. You know, that's why the show before us stole everybody's money, because everybody got caught up. I'm going to be honest, they got caught up with the aesthetics that it was a woman, she was Hispanic, she was going to be the first thing. And I said, not one person checked and said, what's your credentials? What have you done to make sure? Because if you don't have those credentials, how can we get people around you to have those credentials? Okay. Someone said about me. He goes, "Man, you're like the first Hispanic person that's actually." I was like, "Dude, so okay. We're all Americans. I'm an American for that. Okay. I love my country. I love God. I love all that. Do you have a problem with that? That's on you. But I love God. God brought me here to Oklahoma, and I love America. And then that's how we are. Okay. And you want to know what's something crazy? Japanese people love America. They love it. You know what they want to do when they come here? Wear cowboy hats and shoot guns. That's all they see. And all they want to do is see some 54-year-old white guy with a big belt buckle with his gun holster here, and he's got to do one of the Chris Farleys. He's walking around like, he lifts his belt buckle like, oh, no, where you from? Are you from Texas? Oh, no, it's from Oklahoma, which is basically Texas' little stepbrother. The cowboy hat, and they all, they love that stuff, dude. They love it. It's just, we love them just as much as they love us, okay? Maybe we should love us a little more, you know, because if you look at every American character in anime, they got a American flag bandana. They look like they're gonna high kick you every time. Like Colonel Guile, everybody looks like Colonel Guile from Street Fighter. You never play Street Fighter, okay? That is what they love about Americans. They're like, oh, and so they love southern, like Western areas, because that's what they see in the movies. So when they come to, you said what? Exactly. I mean, you could be the darkest skinned person, but if you're American, I'm like, oh, you're like, like this. Elvis and John Wayne. So this community, I would like for it to be a little bit more proud of itself, but at the same time say, how do we show people, like, being this close to Texas, we have to do our best to say, no, this is, or you guys do your best because I'm not from here. This is Oklahoma. This is how we, would like people to see us outside of the state. So, like, if you go to a big industry show like New York Comic Con or Anime Expo, you're representing yourself. When I go to Anime Expo, I don't really like to do the industry stuff because it's pretty lame, but I do my own industry parties there, and everybody networks
Con.
Oh, you said it.
Yeah.
Everybody gets to punch you in the
I
arm.
know.
Go.
Something that I saw going on there that didn't always go the best, but was fun sometimes, was the community really always put together panels and do their own shows, kind of. I always like that. It's fun to see a bunch of cosplayers in the show, doing questions too. Is that something that you would do in the future? Or is it more like that's
more like different cosplayers. So that's a good idea. The concern is I have to meet you first. So I met a lot of people and actually got to know them. So there was one person that I know who they are, and they know who I am, and they never went to a meetup. They never went to this. And they're not here right now. And I'm not gonna call them out by name. They asked me if I could give them if they could help with some stuff, and I said sure, yeah, of course. And then they go, can I get a room here? I'm like, dude, I've never met you. No offense. And maybe they just didn't understand the etiquette. But that's like me saying, hey, like, what's your name? Pinky? Okay, yeah, well, just give me whatever. I'm not just saying like Pinky, whatever. You can say Saxon Wilson III. I don't know. You just give me a name. You know what I'm saying? I say, hey, Pinky, hey, it's nice to meet you. Can you go help me? Like, and then just quick goes, like, can you go out? Like, will you go out? And I've gotten a lot of that. And it's awkward, and I try to do my best to like, hey, like this. So I feel like a lot of people are asking me to go out with them, but they haven't gotten to know me yet. So had they gone to a meetup or at least made an effort to promote, like, of course, I Airbnb'd several houses here for rooms. We had 30 volunteers, right? 30 that said they were coming in from out of town. I rented 2 houses. 3 of them showed up. 3 of them. 4. So if you understand what I'm saying, it's people are saying, I'm going to do it, man. I'm so hyped. And then they don't show up. We did the cosplay Rising Stars. We had 12 people say they were going to help do it. 2 people did it. And guess what? Those 2 people now have a lot of things that are going to be coming their way because of that. I really appreciate people's efforts. But I would love to do that, but I have to get to know them, and I have to not just get to know them, give them the responsibility, and then once they accept it, I have to hold you accountable. If you don't do it, I have to talk to you. So it's all of those things kind of play into one. It's a very good point. Hopefully, does that answer your question? Any other ones? Any other ones?
I'm very new to this anime. My daughter's really into it. But I really enjoyed the convention, and I wanted to know, like, if you did want to volunteer, you just come up and tell you, or is there a way to contact you?
Yeah, I'll give you my PayPal and shoot me $500. So we have a group. So Terry's actually our community director right there. Since he's local, he gets names and contacts, and he tells you the things that we're going to be doing in the future. They'll have meetups at they'll go out to eat, or they'll, like I said, come here. This is a good place to just hang out, and they'll talk about things. If you have kids, as long as somebody can watch them. Yeah. If you volunteered and the kids came, like that's fine. We give passes. We give kids passes anyway. So I'm willing to give passes. So let's say you wanted to volunteer and you said, hey, I'd love to volunteer my time, but my daughter is going to watch my kids or grandkids. Do you mind if they come? Like, yeah, I'll give them passes. I'm not shiesty when it comes to passes.
Yeah, I just wondered because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, and is this your first one, or have you done other ones? Oh, cool. Well, thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. Yeah. You said what?
Because my daughter did.
Which one? Right here? Ooh, give her a kiss on the cheeks. Ooh. Just kidding. So yeah, it's and then cue me when I got 5. And then cue me when I got 1. I know it's like just. I mean, I can keep going. I mean, I paid for everything. Ain't nobody can tell me. I wish you would tell me I can't do this. I got this building till 11 o'clock at night, man. The hotel can't even tell me what to do. Shoot. I wish they would. I'm just kidding. The people at the convention center have been great. They've been more than great. So yeah, it's just volunteer. And again, you don't have to volunteer for the convention. You can just come to the meetups. You can say, hey, I'm going to take you, but I just want to be a part of the meetups. So a meetup just like, hey, he starts a group page and he says, we're going to be meeting at the Reed Center, which is here, on this day, just to talk about the show. And then usually when I'm going to come, make an appearance. He'll tell you guys he's gonna come make an appearance on this day if you can make yourself available, and then we're gonna chat. If there's any events in the area, I usually get badges sometimes, and then if I can't come, my team gets them. There's the OKC pop culture show, the horror convention. He's a pretty cool guy, so anytime he has an event, I try to make it. We're networking and work well together. So yeah, there's so many different things that we're trying to do, and if you have an idea, that we would appreciate it. So, does that answer your question? Anybody else? Suggestions? Questions? Anybody? What's up?
So you talk about sort of local community and all of that, and I imagine, there's a whole thing about trying to grow a community and find people to do that. How has that sort of experience been?
Here in general.
Here in the state, let's narrow it down, say North Texas and Oklahoma.
North Texas is pretty good. I got a lot of good people out there. I got more good people in that area than I do in Houston, to be honest with you. I've done more in Dallas and Austin than I do in Houston. It's just, maybe it's because I don't live there, so I'm more welcome when I get there. But, like me, I don't like, there's a lot of talent in that area, North Texas area. There is a lot of, resources. Here, that applies, but the disconnect is people don't know how to go about it and connect. Like, well, I have these skills, how can I apply them to what I'm doing here, right? So this is how we can try to apply them. And it's going to be to how you're comfortable. If you're a cosplayer, I'm like, hey, why did you cosplay this character? Or I hate you. It's not that, okay? This is what we can do. So it's a give and take scenario, right? I mean, again, you just have to be respectful about it. I try to be respectful about it. One of my issues is when you're not respectful to me, I'm not respectful to you. And I have to work on that because I shouldn't do that. But that's just like, hey, man, why are you talking to me like that? I'm not stupid. And sometimes there's just a disconnect. So communication is another thing that in this community we should all work on, like, as a whole. And that's every community around the world. That's not just here, but everywhere. So anything else, anybody? Any questions? Right here.
Just a question. What do you have coming up in the near future? What shows like in the Dallas area? Just because you've so far been good to work with.
I appreciate it.
And we're new in the community. We've got a vendor booth.
Okay.
So we're like, what coming up should we keep our eyes open?
Dallas, I'm going to do more dance festivals. I like to do that. I don't just do like geek conventions. I mean that with love. I want to get into like barbecue cook-offs and chili cook-offs, like all kinds of food festivals. I love food. If you don't love food, you literally can't live. So you have to eat it and drink water. Like, do both of those things will be all right for the most part. But like fandom-wise, I have a couple ideas, but it just depends. Working with some of the guests, they're like, hey, I don't have a show here, and enough of them say it. I start thinking, well, maybe that's a down market. There's a way entry point there. I can't also name drop shows again because we haven't finished working on them, so I can't. I'll tell you where's your booth? It's upstairs. Artist alley or vendor?
Artist alley.
Table. Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll come by and talk to you about it. But yeah, I'd like to do more here. I'd like to do a sci-fi convention here if possible. I love sci-fi. I have quite a bit of contacts in the sci-fi market. People are getting away from those conventions. Free. Okay. People are getting away from doing sci-fi conventions because some of the productions just haven't been that good. Both the actual sci-fi content as well as the events themselves. So a lot of guests pulled out doing them, except for the big ones like Star Wars Celebration and the Star Trek show in Las Vegas. And the Star Wars Celebration show comes every year, but the Star Trek show in Las Vegas is always there. Those are the ones that everybody comes out for. There's really nothing else like that. I do have some contacts in those industries. And I love sci-fi shows because those are actually like older demographics, and those people like to hang out and just socialize. I would like more people hanging around the hotel socializing. So the plan in the future is to have dance party here, karaoke there, something in the hotel. Because by the way, all the guests were hanging out in the hotel. I don't know if you guys noticed that. They were down there at the restaurant and the bar, hanging out. A lot of people got to hang out with them and meet them. So You do not get that at a lot of conventions. That's something that I try to explain to them that I'd like for them to do. It is ultimately up to them, but so far so good. All of the guests have enjoyed it. Our VIP panel, I had to go to a panel on my own. It went 20 minutes longer because they just all enjoy talking to each other. So you guys as a community have actually done a really great job, at least the ones that have represented. I just need more representatives, if that makes sense. Anybody else, any other questions, comments? We got like a couple minutes. Anybody? Everybody scared? What's up?
Is there any way to be a part of the meetings and stuff like that, but not able to be physically there? Because I do have a job that goes late into the night, so I wouldn't be able to
So
physically.
Terry takes down kind of like a meeting of the minutes. Meeting of the minutes, basically, you do that in every big company, corporation. You write down what you talked about. You write down issues and solutions, and what we all went over, and then it gets relayed back to me, and then I get my feedback. So yeah, like that. And we're gonna start using Discord more, as well as we do a lot of Facebook Messenger. So one more. I got time for one more, possibly. Anybody? You hate me? Dumb? Stupid?
Can I say something?
Just like, yeah, what's up?
Hi, I'm Terry. I live here in Midwest City.
You're in the wrong place for that one.
Yeah, we got that recorded.
But so many things have happened. So many things bad have happened here. All of you are the best advertisement we have for every year. Every one of you obviously has friends. Well,
Now you know.
yeah, okay, now I've screwed up. But anyway, and some of your friends probably are somewhat interested in anime or manga or whatever. Tell them. Let them know. Because they have friends, and they have friends, and they have friends. This is the best way we can get the advertisement for this con out. And you are the reason we do it. And we just need your help. And we're going to grow this into something great.
I'm so proud of y'all for helping us build this show.
Yeah, but I got applause.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and the thing is, again, part of what just to finish up, part of my thing is, like, I gave him the microphone. I love Terry. I do love him. I can say that, and I think he loves me. Hopefully he loves me. But I still am absolutely terrified to let someone else hold a microphone because I think they're going to say something bad. I've had it happen at panels before. I've had to interrupt it and kick people out of panels. So I'm doing my best, to deal with that. So we're all going to try to work together and grow together, and we'll do something good. So that being said, I appreciate all you guys coming to the panel. Go ahead and stop. Go ahead and wait around here for a little bit. I'm going to see what I got. I'm going to try to come back with something. So thank you. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.